do a video here filming part of Thurmond that a lot of people don't see. Mainly because most tourists don't come up this way. But I think a lot of people do walk to this part. But most of what I'm about to film a lot of people from out of town don't see. They kind of hang out in the area near the railroad tracks. Take some pictures of the old coaling tower, the stone buildings and stuff like that, and the block buildings, and then they film a train or two and head back out. But this is concrete through here. For some reason, beyond me, the park towers look like McKinley Road and stuff, put dirt and gravel down and covered that up. They did that right here, but they did that at Kingley Road. I don't know why they covered up the concrete. Oh gosh. Somebody's purposely whipped that door off. Sad that this happened, but everything's closed down temporarily because of the coronavirus, and somebody thought it'd be a good idea to whip that door off, and they've vandalized I don't know how many places here in Thurmond. I've been making the news and they were trying to catch who was doing it. I don't know if they did or not. I know the park service was questioning me, come down here trying to film a train back in March when all this was going on. They were questioning me, wanting to know what I was up to. I'm just trying to film some trains. No house. Thurmond, I like point, was a railroad town for the Chesapeake Ohio Railroad. Still a good place to film because the main line CSX goes through. But Thurmond is a railroad town. All the steam engines back in the day had to stop for fuel. They had to stop for water and coal for the tenders, and coal for the fuel for the fuel. And then they also walking out of a big engine house where they sell the steam engines. They take in there and do whatever service work needed done to them, like re-grease and oil. But I think there's a lot. Steam engines were a lot more labor intensive than diesel. Diesel you could stop somewhere at a rail yard, refuel and put another crew on and go for the most part. Well, that's the most part. They do have, I say for the most part, they do have issues too where they do from time to time do need work on. But steam engines, you had to stop every 50 miles to actually get fuel or whatever for coal and water. Yeah, bad thing about those, if the water in the boiler got below a certain point, there would be a boiler explosion and it would kill everybody on board. And this place is falling apart. There's nothing in here but a bucket and a couple of plastic bottles. The place I've been here, this thing could sift and go down the hillside, and I don't want to go with it. I don't know if that house is open or not. I don't think it is. I do know that the town of Powelton, I'm trying to remember where the town of Powelton is. I think it's somewhere in the Canal River coalfield. They had a boiler explosion that, because the boiler temps got, I guess they had a leak in it, they didn't know it. And the water got below a certain level that blew up, killed the crew. And I think everybody in the first two cars of the train, because it was a passenger train, I think nearly everybody in the first two passenger cars, first two coaches were killed during the explosion. I think a few people survived in the second coach, but not unscathed because they had some major injuries. This path's going up through here. Yeah, they fixed that. That back door was open, but the park service fixed it since then. It's just interesting because back in the day when they had the steam engine and stuff, though, steam power, there were so many people walking for the railroad. And it's interesting how these houses are built here. A lot of them are literally built into the hillside. Quite literally. Okay, I don't recognize that place. I was trying to recognize that house. Okay, now I'm curious. Oh no, wait, maybe that's the one that's off the big road there where the road loops around. Maybe. And maybe it's up on the hill and I just never noticed it because because all the brush and stuff and the trees cover it. It might be that one where the road loops around. I do know I'm slightly confused because I saw a house I didn't think I recognized, but now I think about it, I do recognize it. The road, I started filming after I got past it. But the road does go past it, goes up and loops around. Yeah, there's new wires they'll probably be here replacing poles eventually. Appalachian Power, for some reason, on a completely different subject, they're replacing poles everywhere. They've been over Glenn Scarborough, they've been up Stone. They got off Mount Hope. I think they were trying to replace all the old poles and put everything new. Multi-million-dollar project. I say by the time it's done the project, a lot of these people, new people they hired for this project will be laid off. Of course, it's a multi-million-dollar project. It's going to take a lot of years. It's not going to be like something they'll be done with at the end of summer, because I think they're trying to do it all over the state. So I think the people that's working on the project have to work for years to come. I know they've done a lot in Beaver and Beckley too. I see the goats. They got the goats back somewhere down here. You got those goats eating, supposed to be eating up all the hillside. The Park Service got all these goats and they're supposed to be eating the dirt on the hill. Somebody still lives in that house. I wouldn't mind to own one of these places. Guest home. Somebody might actually rent that house out to people. I have to Google it and see, but they might actually rent that house out. Then again, it might be a private home. If they do, I might come down here and spend a couple of days down here and stay in that. But I don't know if they do or don't. I guess that one house, they got fenced off the goats now. I think there used to be more houses here, but they fell down and had to be demolished. The calling tower. Interesting view of the calling tower, because I think you're slightly above it. Yeah, that thing's so tall, standing here, I'm probably almost level over the top of it. The reason I say almost, because I think it's still slightly, well, I'm eye level at the top, but I'm technically not level with the top, because the calling tower's so tall. Even there where I was, it's still almost as tall as me standing here. That thing's like at least 100 feet tall, at least. Don't see no line thing. They used to fill the steam engines with coal. Sadly, the engine house burnt. I think I just know in the 1950s, and they changed from steam to diesel, there's nearly 200 workers, railroad workers that's laid off. I think 150 people have seen maybe more, didn't have jobs anymore, but kind of started the same reaction. I guess they call it a trickle-down effect, because all these people and their families who didn't have to work on steam engines anymore didn't have work, so a lot of them quit going in the stores and restaurants. A lot of them took their wives and kids and their families and moved away, so they didn't have work anymore. So they moved away, the restaurants started dying. A lot of the general stores and restaurants and other business in town was losing so much business, they didn't have hardly anybody to do, so they started shutting down. And when they started shutting down, more people laid off. And particularly 1956, I think a lot of people didn't leave until the early 60s is when most people, of course, late 80s, early 90s, a lot of older people who, I guess they will get the pits of the railroad and the retirement were dying out. Because a lot of people were old enough to get retirement, and I think by the 80s, most of them that did stay passed away. And the young people close to my age, that was too young to retire, just got their families and moved away. Because I think a lot of people around my age at the time, they went from steam to diesel, and now getting up in years, and they're like coming back to where they grew up and telling stories. One lady that was like 9 years old when her dad packed up and moved. I think she's in the early 60s now, but I remember her as he talked about the apartments she lived in down here, how a lot of people moved away, and before she knew it, her family had pretty much the whole apartments to themselves, whole building to themselves, because there wasn't hardly anybody there except for her and a little bit of people. I think I was in that house once years ago before the Park Service took over. because the lady selling it to the Park Service. Of course, I think I literally just graduated from high school at the time and hadn't quite moved up my own yet, so I couldn't afford to buy anything like that. That was like almost 20 years ago now. Can't believe I've been out of school practically 20 years. Well, 2003 will make 20 years, so technically I've been out of school 17 years. This may be one of my longest videos I've done for a while. This was someone back and forth walking through this one stretch of Thurmond. I know there's a few more houses in this stretch. I think the Park Service has not taken over. It's pretty much just fallen down and fallen into ruins. There's more houses here that take over. I'm getting to the stretch of Thurmond where people still live. There'll be 3 houses in a row on this side of the street I'm on that people still live in. I think maybe that first year house, not so much. I think the second year house, that maybe somebody living in it. But I don't know. I know there's 3 big houses people live in. There's one behind the Thurmond Union Church that people still live in. But most of these, the Park Service, whoever the Park Service now needs to be here. When the Park Service took over, a lot of them were really bad safe, but they put, I don't know how much money they put into them to restore them, but a lot. Philip McClung, Wiltshire House, rental house, retail house. That's retail house. I guess somebody does live in this one. When the Park Service takes over, they put those window screen things on and take out the windows and put it where air can flow through. Don't know why they do that, but they do that. Now, when I was growing up, I think somebody lived here. I didn't come down here much because I didn't get out much as a kid. I hear a creak. Yeah, they demolished one. There was an abandoned house here, but it was in really bad shape and ready to fall down. Somebody might be staying in there. I think, well, last time I was up here it wasn't here, so it's been gone a while, but there was one back there that's in bad shape and falling down, but all 3 of these have people living in them. And there's some members of the descendants of the Dragon family who started the New River Coal Company live in one of these. I forget which one. Okay, that one might be empty now, but there was somebody living in it. I don't know somebody living in it. They just covered up the windows for some reason. A little odd, but okay. That's the Green Park Service van.
How are you?
Like, doing good.